All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever had that feeling where you're just nodding along, going with the flow, agreeing with an opinion you haven't really stress tested for yourself? It's a classic human problem, right? Well, today we're going to tackle it head on, and our guide is someone who never ever pulled his punches, the one and only brilliantly grumpy philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. So let me just ask you straight up, why is it so much easier, so much more comfortable to just agree with the crowd than it is to think for yourself? It feels like taking a shortcut, doesn't it? Well, Schopenhauer argued this is no accident. He believed it's a deep, fundamental feature of how our minds are built. And he laid out this incredibly clear, step-by-step case to prove it. So let's trace his logic piece by piece. Okay, first things first, we have to start where Schopenhauer starts, which is, with the foundation of reality itself. No big deal. But seriously, to get why we don't think, we first have to understand what he believed our minds were actually for. And let me tell you, it's probably not what you're thinking. So for Schopenhauer, our whole being is basically split into two parts. On one side, you've got the will. This is the raw, pulsing energy of life itself. It's blind, it's irrational. It's just this constant striving force that wants to live, survive, and reproduce. Then you have the intellect, our reason, our thinking mind. And here's the twist. The intellect is not the boss, not even close. It's just a tool, a servant, hired by the will to help it get what it wants. And he came up with this brilliant analogy to explain it. Picture a huge, strong, blind man. That's the will. All power, no vision. Now picture a lame man who can see perfectly but can't walk. That's our intellect. So what happens? The strong blind man hoists the lame man onto his shoulders. Now who's really in charge here? The blind man is the one walking, moving where he wants to go. The guy on his shoulders is just the navigator, shouting, "Hey, watch out for that tree, turn left, there's food over there." See? The intellect's primary job isn't to find some cosmic truth. It's just to help the wills survive another day. And that right there brings us to Schopenhauer's first major premise. Our intellect, our amazing thinking mind, is fundamentally a survival tool. It evolved to solve practical problems, how to get food, how to avoid becoming food. It's designed to serve the goals of the will. As for seeking pure, objective truth for its own sake, that's just not in the original job description. And listen to how Schopenhauer puts it himself. He says, nature made the intellect for one reason, to serve the will. So it's only designed to understand things as they relate to our goals, our desires, our motives. It's not built to fathom their true inner essence. For the will, that kind of deep understanding is a total waste of energy. And this is the absolute bedrock of his entire argument. Okay, so if that's the foundation, where do we go from there? Well, Schopenhauer argues that this setup, this master-servant relationship in our heads, creates a whole set of internal psychological barriers that actively work against independent thought. And this leads us right into his second big point. Real, genuine thinking is hard. It's exhausting, it takes a ton of mental energy, and since our will is all about efficiency, our mind is naturally lazy. I mean, why build a thought from scratch when you can just grab one off the shelf? Then you add vanity to the mix. We all want to have opinions, right? We want to seem smart. So you get this toxic combination, the desire to have an opinion without the willingness to do the hard work. And that's what makes us reach for substitutes. Now get this. This is one of his most controversial lines. He's not saying reading is bad, but he is saying that mindless reading is the perfect substitute for actual thinking. It gives you the feeling of being intellectual, but really, you're just letting someone else's thoughts run around in your head. Your mind, as he puts it, becomes a playground for another's thoughts, not a workshop for your own. So this really sets up two different kinds of people. On the one hand, you have the genuine thinker, who is incredibly rare. For this person, the struggle of thinking is its own reward. They actually care about getting to the bottom of things. But then you have the sophist, which Schopenhauer thought was way, way more common. The sophist isn't interested in truth. They just want to look good, to win the argument, to gain status. They collect quotes and cite authorities not to build understanding, but to decorate their ego. Okay, quick recap. We've got a mind that's built for survival, not truth. And internally, it's prone to laziness and vanity. Now for the third piece of the puzzle, the outside world, which, it turns out, is more than happy to give our lazy minds an easy way out. And this is where it all comes together. Here's the final premise. Instead of doing the hard, troublesome work of weighing evidence and forming our own judgment, we just outsource it. We look to what's popular, what the herd believes, what some authority figure says, and we just adopt it as our own. It's efficient, it feels safe, and hey, it gives us a ready-made opinion to tread out at parties. This quote just nails the problem perfectly. The demand for opinions is huge. Everybody wants one. But the supply of actual original thought, it's tiny. So what fills that massive gap? A booming marketplace for secondhand, pre-owned opinions. It's just simple and kind of depressing mental economics. And Schopenhauer says what we call universal opinion is often just a total illusion. It starts with maybe one or two people saying something. Then a few others, just out of pure laziness, repeat it. Pretty soon, a bunch of people are saying it, and we assume they must have all checked the facts. At that point, it becomes a kind of social duty to agree. And we actually start to get annoyed at anyone who dares to think for themselves, because it sort of reminds us that we didn't. It's a massive echo chamber built on the lazy assumption that someone, somewhere, must have done the thinking. So we've laid out the three premises: a mind designed for survival, a psychology of laziness, and a society that offers up comfortable, ready-made beliefs. Now let's put it all together and see what Schopenhauer's final, sobering conclusion is. So what happens? What is the logical, almost inevitable outcome when you take our basic hardware, a mind built for survival, add in that software of laziness and vanity, and then put it in an environment full of social pressure where everyone is agreeing with each other? What happens when we choose that path of least resistance? The result is this. Your mind is no longer your own workshop. It hasn't been conquered by force. You've willingly handed over the keys. It becomes just a space, a playground, where other people's ideas can come and go as they please. Your thoughts aren't your own anymore. They're manufactured somewhere else. It is a grim conclusion for sure. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't have to be the end of the story. For Schopenhauer, just recognizing this trap is the first crucial step to getting out of it. And so he leaves us with a final challenge, reframing what it means to think. Not as some casual hobby, but as a difficult, noble, and absolutely essential struggle. And he leaves us with this incredible image. Adopting other people's opinions is like taking a helicopter to the top of a mountain. Sure, you get the view, you can take a selfie and say you were there, but you have no real connection to the place. You didn't do the work. To truly think for yourself, though, that's to make the slow, difficult, sometimes lonely climb up the mountain on your own 2 feet. You earn that view. It becomes a part of you. So the question Schopenhauer leaves us all with is pretty simple, but pretty profound. Are you prepared for the climb?